Today we're going to introduce what we call the Next Generation Recoil. Why don't you tell us what a recoil is?
The camera, first of all, has to be balanced, and for it to be balanced, it needs to sit right on your shoulder.
Or behind you even.
Well, in some cases it might be slightly behind you, depending on what you have for accessories. In order to do that, though, you need to have your optics up front, you need to have your focus control up front, and your camera control up front, because you can't access the camera when it's sitting on your shoulder. But once you have all those things and it's balanced, that's what makes a recoil.
The key to this system is our VCT Universal baseplate. You can either use a VCT tripod adapter plate, or we have a 1/4 and a 3/8 screw here, and you can actually put your tripod plate directly to the VCT system. You just pop on the pod, you pop off, and that camera's sitting quite a bit lower than it did in the first generation. It works with every camera on the market that is base plateable, which means it's got to have a flat bottom on it.
Right.
The base plate has over a 7-inch adjustable range. So as things get more front heavy, the camera slides back. As it gets back heavy, it slides forward. We've had some scenarios where the camera's hanging off the back of this even, but where the screw parts are on the camera, it's still on the plate.
Right.
There's obviously lots of accessories that can go on this thing, but the main one is this half cage, and it has a little piece of rail here, and you can move the rail along these 1/4 on the side, and that allows you to slide this half cage all the way forward or all the way back. The other thing that's really unique about this plate is that it has this rod riser. It allows you to mount the rods to the center of the lens, which is 85 mils, in order to mount a matte box. If you're using a follow focus only, doesn't really matter. But here is the critical part of our universal base plate, and it's this section right here. We've sort of learned that pretty much the balance point with cameras these days is where the lens meets the camera body, and that needs to be right in the center of the shoulder pad. It looks like nothing. It's 3 inches, but we're using that 3 inches in order to be able to hit the focus gear on the lens or the iris gear on the lens.
If you're using another brand that didn't have that extra rod real estate here, your rig is going to be front heavy no matter what you do.
Because you're going to have to slide your camera as far forward as possible,
right.
And now the camera's going to be in front of you, and that's going to be incredibly fatiguing. That's not a recoil, and a recoil, you got to remember, is the tightest package you can create, and it sits on your shoulder,
right,
like an E and G camera.
With controls. Here is the Z-Drive and Tornado. It really is a combination of follow focus and hand grip all in one, which makes it so you never have to take your hand off like you would with a traditional follow focus and reach up here, which would be kind of tight anyway, and then also move the camera, or, have it move on you. Now, it's not always necessary to have this. Some people would prefer to actually grab the lens, especially if it's a little longer lens, and just focus traditionally.
But you are reaching back when you're doing that. It's not like in the traditional way where you kind of grab the lens here. You're kind of grabbing it more by your cheek.
Right.
Now, on the right side here, we have a basic hand grip. There are other options, like on the Canon kits and some of the Sonys, they have grip relocators where you can actually relocate the hand grip, which is wonderful. Now you have camera control. On the DSLRs, we have our Oki box, which gives you camera control.
With our control grip, you're going to be able to do everything from zooming with a zoom motor to control all the menus, start and stop, punch in, all the fun features that you...
Pre-programmed buttons.
Exactly, that you want.
Iris control.
All in this hand without, again, letting go and having to find the camera.
And it's self-powered with a 5D battery, so you don't have to have a battery in the back. So the last part of the puzzle is the optics.
Right.
We need to let people know that when you go to a next-gen recoil, you have to have some sort of viewing system, whether it's a monitor or an EVF.
Here you see our gradical EVF. Now you could use our EVF from before. That was essentially the telephone screen size.
Yep.
You could use a monitor. You can use any one of those. All the mounting can come off our handle from here. Anyway,
or it could come off a rod.
It can come off a rod too as well.
But
right?
With this particular kit,
it's really universal to all these cameras, this particular kit. We have it with a DSLR in it, that's how we kind of build it, but it's universal to all these cameras using this half cage.
It's hard to believe, but this particular kit can take everything from a mirrorless camera all the way up to a camera the size of an Epic.
Right.
So this DSLR kit has our half cage, and the half cage obviously has some mounting screw type ports, which we're not a big fan of because anything you put in a screw port can come loose. And directors will walk up to your system, grab that monitor, and it is loose. You know, I've been doing that for decades. Until we designed this particular system where you just put it in our Z-Lock. Now it's a pinch type lock system, and I can twist and turn. I can lift this whole camera package up with it. And now when you bring that metal together, it makes it so that you can't remove it.
We have that in several places. It's on our handle.
I mean, it's on our rails. You can see, I mean, we can remove this entire camera package in seconds, the whole thing, including the camera. And that's actually really nice. A lot of people want to pop the camera off really quick. You flip this lever and the camera comes right out of the system.
Right.
And you can go off and do photos and whatever, and then you lock it back on, and you can build this thing back up like as quickly as we tore it down.
It's fast.
Where's the EVF? I mean, that's insane how quickly you can put this system back together. Look at that.
And really, it's all in its pre-adjusted position.
Oh yeah, once you adjust your EVF, you can tear it down, take it out of the case, put it in, you know, however you want to pack this up. So this is our Next Gen Recoil. We've been working on this for quite some time, and I'm really proud of this system. I think that this is a system that you can use now and into the future. You can change out all your cameras, and you don't have to have all these different base plates like we had in the past.
Yeah, this is it.
So I'm very happy to introduce our Next Gen Recoil.